I confess I'm not really the outdoorsy type, but when I was asked to try out a new virtual reality fishing game for Final Fantasy 15, I leapt at the chance. I mean, it's Final Fantasy. So, was it enjoyable? Well, it certainly caused a ripple of excitement, but because it feels like a strange, slightly janky hybrid of DLC expansion and tech demo, I'm a little hard-pressed to say it really hooked me. Anyway, the idea is simple. You, a nameless hunter with an impressively customizable avatar, are charged with reeling in demonic whoppers terrorizing the local ecosystems. To do so, you drive to familiar locales from Final Fantasy 15 and use a sonar device and fishing rod to reel them in. Then you return to your log cabin in the woods, admire the nifty photos you took during your conquests, buy some better equipment to hook better quarry, then hop back into your car and do it all over again. There are 4 fishing modes available to play. Free mode, where you can sit and fish at your leisure, hunter mode, where you can track down specific fish for a reward, tournament mode, where you test your skills against other fishermen by seeing who can catch the most fish within a time limit, and story mode, where you battle huge aggressive fish with a crossbow before reeling them in. By the way, it is possible to actually die in these encounters. For some reason, I wasn't able to access tourney mode for my preview, but I will say out of the modes I could access, story mode and its crazy fish battles was the most fun. What wasn't always fun was the actual fishing mechanic itself. I tried fishing with both the Move controllers and the regular DualShock, and in both cases my results varied. Sometimes my trusty rod would go exactly where I wanted it to, and I felt like the world's greatest fisherman. Other times I felt like an idiot because a flick of the wrist either sent my rod into outer space, parts unknown, or absolutely nowhere. I admit I've never been fishing in real life, and fishing in Final Fantasy 15 isn't meant to be super easy, but I'm not sure it's fair to make me struggle this much when I just want to have fun. It doesn't help that there's also some serious jank that held back my enjoyment. Never mind that when I turned around, I was sometimes greeted with a headless avatar, or that sometimes my virtual arms looked like they had been yanked out of their sockets and tied together in a bow courtesy of Brock Lesnar. Those things are actually pretty amusing. When I tried to grab my sonar device or reel in my line during a boss fight only for my hand to whiff right through both, causing me to either have to reboot the mission or die, that was a problem. The good news is Square Enix promises to fix some of these bugs with a day 1 patch, which will hopefully take the frustration out of the experience. But it's not all bad. In fact, in a strange way, fishing wasn't even the highlight for me. It was being immersed in a Final Fantasy world through the VR headset. I was deeply impressed with the level of detail given to both the water effects and the design for each individual fish. Inanimate objects sometimes looked flat and grainy, which was a little disappointing, but thankfully character models looked really good. In fact, I fully admit to fangirling out the first time I saw Noctis reeling in a fish next to me. He looked like he was right there, or came across Gladiolus on an outing. And it's pretty cool hanging out in places I'd seen in Final Fantasy 15, even though there's not really much in the way of exploration or conversation with the world's most famous citizens. Monster of the Deep isn't a deep-sea dive in terms of gameplay, and I'm not sure I'd recommend it to anyone who isn't already a hardcore fan of Final Fantasy 15. But as a fan of the game myself, I definitely smiled more than I frowned, even with the glitches. I suppose you could say it reeled me in?
Oh yeah.